So one of the shows I wanted to talk about is Community. Obviously, I've loved it forever, and I've been pretty vocal this season about it being completely uneven. But I will say that a lot of that is because the episodes have aired so drastically out of order that, yes, the puppet episode never should have aired in the middle of the season. But that's not the point I wanted to bring up today, because I was actually going to keep this more on the happy side of things.
Okay.
The body swapping episode that Jim Rash wrote, I feel like got back to a lot of the Community quote-unquote basics that I wish the season all along had been. Because he actually, I've been pretty vocal also about like some of their more outside of the box episodes have felt like gimmicks rather than organic for the story. But in this case, this is how it should, I feel like how they should be doing things all the time, because yeah, there is a body swapping bit and that could be a gimmick, but in this point it was very important for the story because it was Troy not real, like he realized he wasn't in a relationship that he was really ready to be in, and he realized that like he kind of needed to make a decision about ending it or at least explaining it, but he wasn't emotionally or mature enough ready to do that. So the way they handled it was like he committed to this bit where they body swapped with Abed and ultimately made Abed be the one to have to, from his observer, not to go observer there, but from his perspective, like put the pieces together and kind of move him along in a mature way as well, so that he was learning about relationships while Troy was figuring things out. And I don't know, I just felt like that is one of those times when you have a story that can be so mundane and so every show does it. We're in a relationship that we can't really figure out, we need to move along. And they did it in such a creative way, in a way that was so true to the show, and such a heartfelt way. I was like, that is the show and what it should be all the time. But Jim Rash can't write it every week, and that makes me sad.
Are we sure? Because I just feel like he does get a short next season.
Maybe they'll have him back.
Maybe they should have him write out every episode.
I mean, he might not want to.
I don't think he would, because he does have an acting job.
Honestly, I love a lot of their other writers. I love Andy. I love Megan. I love a lot of them. Tim. I think
Megan's off.
Well, who knows if they got a season, if she'd come back. But I just meant the ones that wrote this season that were with Dan and that were still there for the season. I mean, I don't know what it is that isn't clicking for some of the other episodes, but when this one clicked as well as it did, I was happy and I was sad, because I was like, why did it take so long to get to this point? And what happens next week if it's not like this again? I don't like it when it's a rare gem in an otherwise
that's the most
upsetting
thing.
season.
Oh yeah, because there are shows where I've literally 1 or 2 episodes in the entire season, and they've been 1 or 2 of the best episodes of the series, and they're in that terrible, terrible season. And sometimes you wonder, well, is it only feeling this great because everything else pales in comparison? Or is it...
That's a good point.
I'm not trying to bring you this down.
No, but that's a good point.
That's something I wonder.
I mean, I'm sure I did attach to it. I pointed out things that I probably wouldn't have pointed out, because I would have felt like you don't have to say it. It's obvious.
Right.
But because they haven't been doing that this season, I felt like I needed to say, hey, no, this is a really great episode because they're doing great things. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the season. I'm gonna be the downer. Sorry. Because I've watched now at this point all of the series, and I've watched all of it in a shortish amount of time. But it's a lot of the series just feels like it's people. And I don't know. I'm not the kind of fan for this show where I look at every single episode to see who wrote what, see what their experience with the series is, et cetera, et cetera. Though I'm kind of curious to do that when the season is over, because I feel like so much of the season has felt like basically fan fiction brought to life. It's what people think Community is, but not really knowing the exact tone. So it's a pale imitation, and you're like, what am I
Honestly, I think all that really boils down to is the fact that Dan used to rewrite everything.
Right.
And Dan's not there to rewrite everything anymore.
Right.
So when it wasn't perfect for him, he would make it perfect for him.
Right.
And he's not there, so what everybody else thinks is perfect or good enough is going on. And for those of us that loved the first 3 seasons, that got what Dan thought was perfect and said, yeah, that is perfect, this isn't.
See, even for me,
on the level.
as someone who was not a fanatical person, you and I have talked about this. I watched the show and I definitely appreciated episodes, but it's not oh my god, this is the best show ever for me. But even still, like
But you still know the level of writing.
Right, but it's it feels so drastically different now. But so I'm glad you're happy, and I hope